Ladies and gentlemen, the internet doesn't just break sometimes. Sometimes it explodes, and last night, it exploded in a way nobody saw coming. One live stream. One name dropped. One moment that sent shockwaves through Chicago, through OTF, and through every fan who ever hit play on a Lil Durk track and felt like it spoke directly to their soul. Because when Lil Tim went live, nobody expected this. Nobody expected the past to be dragged into the present. Nobody expected King Von's mom to suddenly be at the center of a viral firestorm. But there she was. In words that felt too personal, too specific, too dangerous to ignore. Fans were shocked. Emotions ran high. Tim's voice didn't sound drunk. It didn't sound like clout chasing either. It sounded angry. It sounded tired. It sounded like a man who had held something inside for too long and finally decided the internet was his courtroom. Comment sections went wild. OTF fans demanded answers. Others said it was all cap. Some claimed he slipped up. Others swore he finally told the truth nobody wanted out. And just like that, OTF erupted. Screenshots started flying. Old interviews got rewatched. Lyrics were dissected like crime scene evidence. People started asking the one question nobody wanted to ask out loud. What if this wasn't just talk? What if this was something deeper? Something darker? Something that could change everything we thought we knew about King Von's story? So if you think you're ready, if you think you've heard it all, then buckle up. Because what you're about to hear isn't just a story, it's a storm. The live stream didn't start with yelling. It didn't start with threats. It started weirdly calm, like the quiet before a storm. Lil Tim sat back in his chair, hoodie pulled low, eyes locked on his own screen like he was reading ghosts in the comments. Viewers logged in thinking he was about to talk music, maybe throw a few subs some love, maybe clear up some old beef. But something in his face felt different that night. His jaw looked tight. His smile never landed. And before anyone could type what's good, he sighed like a man who'd been carrying bricks on his chest for years. He talked about the city first. The nights. The losses. The way Chicago doesn't forgive and doesn't forget. He talked about being painted as a villain, about waking up to headlines that never heard his side. Y'all think you know, he said slowly, shaking his head, but you don't. Not even close. Fans in the chat started spamming question marks. Someone typed, "Bro, you good?" Another posted a broken heart emoji. And that's when the tone shifted. He leaned forward, eyes darker now, and said, "I'm tired of holding this. I've been quiet too long." The comment feed exploded. 1,000 people leaned closer to their phones at the same time, not knowing they were about to hear something that would stretch across the whole night. He didn't say names right away. He danced around them, like a boxer feeling out an opponent. He talked about loyalty, about how family gets said too easy in this game, about how when the money comes, the smiles change. Some viewers started guessing in the comments. OTF, someone wrote. Von. Another typed, then deleted. Tim let the words hang there unchallenged, like a loaded silence. Then he rubbed his face and muttered, "Before y'all come for me, understand this. I loved that man." The chat froze for half a second and then blew up again. Loved who? The implication was loud even before he finished the sentence. He spoke about nights where phones didn't work and nobody trusted anybody. He claimed there were conversations that never made it to songs, meetings that never showed up in documentaries. Y'all only see what they let you see, he said. But behind that, it's different. A few fans begged him to stop. Others begged him to go further. And then he dropped a line that felt like a blade sliding out of a sleeve. And don't even get me started on his mama. The room seemed to tilt. People swore the temperature changed. Comments flew so fast they looked like static. Some said he was wrong for it. Some said he better explain. Others just typed her name in disbelief. Tim stared at the chat like it had finally said the thing he was waiting for. He didn't raise his voice. That's what scared people. He kept it low, steady, almost disappointed. "Y'all think she's sweet," he said, shrugging. "Y'all think hurt don't turn into control." He talked about phone calls that came at weird hours, about messages passed through other people, about feeling watched without knowing by who. Fans screenshot every second, posting clips to other platforms before he even finished the thought. Somebody accused him of lying. Somebody else accused him of being bitter. Tim smirked for the first time all night, but it wasn't funny. "I ain't got a lie," he said. "Truth be telling me." He claimed there was pressure after the funeral, lines drawn in places nobody could see. "You think a city just keeps moving?" he asked. "Nah. Somebody steers." He implied decisions were being made that had nothing to do with music and everything to do with power. And then came the part that hit like a punch to the chest. "Y'all keep asking why things went the way they did. Why certain doors opened and others slammed shut. I'm telling you, it didn't just happen. It was pushed." Fans replayed that sentence 100 times in their heads, trying to figure out where it pointed. Some thought he meant the streets. Some thought he meant the industry. Some thought he meant something a lot closer than anyone wanted to say out loud. Across the city, phones buzzed like bees. Group chats lit up. Old friends from high school sent each other links. People who hadn't spoken in years started typing again just to ask, "You seeing this?" Blogs grabbed the stream mid-sentence and blasted headlines that screamed exactly what Tim hadn't yet said. Lil Tim hints at family control. Names almost dropped. OTF under fire. And then finally, he got closer to the edge. "I ain't saying nobody's a monster," he said slowly, choosing each word like he was laying down glass. "I'm saying, hurt people make dangerous choices." He stared into the camera. "And sometimes, they make other people pay for it." Fans started begging him to log off. Others dared him to keep going. He looked exhausted now, like a man who knew he was climbing higher than he could safely go but couldn't turn back. "Y'all hear me?" he asked softly. "Sometimes the villain ain't who the story tell you." That line spread faster than everything else. It became the quote of the night, splashed across screens with their own theories attached. OTF fans weren't quiet for long. Some fired back immediately, accusing him of disrespect, of madness, of wanting attention off a dead man's name. Others admitted in whispers that the story never felt complete. A few said they'd heard things too, rumors they'd never dared repeat. Tim scrolled through the comments and his mouth twisted. "So now y'all wanna believe?" he asked. "After you told me shut up?" He claimed he'd tried to keep it between family. Claimed he'd swallowed words for years. And then, in a moment that would live forever in edits, he said, "I felt like I was being erased." The chat went dead for a split second, as if the internet itself blinked. Erased how? From where? From what? He didn't explain right away. He just nodded to himself, like the thought had been eating him from the inside. He spoke of promises that broke, of support that vanished, of chairs pulled away when it was his turn to sit. "Y'all think grief bring people together," he said. "Sometimes it blow them apart." He said he watched friendships turn into walls. He said he watched power slide into the hands of people who didn't know how to hold it without tightening their fists. "You can't grieve and rule at the same time," he muttered. Fans tried to decode every metaphor. Some swore he was speaking in riddles on purpose. Others thought he was protecting someone by not being too clear. He kept going anyway. "I ain't got no manager up here with me," he said, gesturing around the room. "Ain't no label telling me what to say. This just me." That alone made the chat roar like a stadium. "Then say it," someone wrote in all caps. Tim shook his head. "Nah," he replied. "Y'all already heard enough to know this ain't just about me." The moment he mentioned money, everything got uglier. He suggested fortunes don't move themselves. He hinted at streams drying up, at opportunities rerouted, at doors quietly closing. "Think that just happened?" he asked. "You think algorithms care about your feelings?" Some fans laughed nervously, not sure if he was serious or spiraling. But his eyes didn't laugh back. "You think people that big don't got friends everywhere?" He let that linger. Someone in the comments wrote, "You saying you was blackballed?" He didn't answer directly. He just nodded once, slow, like that was the closest he'd get to confessing. The chat turned into a war zone. Half defending OTF like it was their own blood. Half siding with Tim like he was finally saying what others were too scared to breathe. Then came the silence. 10 whole seconds where Tim said nothing. He just looked down at his hands like they belonged to someone else. Viewers later said that was the scariest part. Not the claims. Not the names, almost said. The quiet. Because it felt like he was deciding whether to burn the bridge or retreat. When he looked back up, his eyes were wet but his voice was hard. "I don't want sympathy," he said. "I want peace." He exhaled thinly. But peace don't come from pretending. He told fans he'd carried this in his chest like a secret prison. "I ain't a saint," he admitted. "I made mistakes. But I ain't evil neither." Comments softened for a moment. Crying emojis mixed with fire emojis. Support mixed with insults. The internet, as always, couldn't decide who the hero was supposed to be. As the hour crept forward, the rumors grew teeth. People dug up old clips, stitched timelines, circled screenshots in red like they were solving a crime. Every pause Tim made became suspicious. Every swallow, a sign. Every half sentence, a code. He noticed it too. "Y'all gonna turn this into a movie," he said quietly. "But real life don't got credits." He asked people to stop tagging kids. To stop dragging names that never asked to be in it. That was the only time his voice broke. "They ain't choose this," he whispered. "We did." The chat slowed, like even the loudest fans knew a line had been touched. And then, just when everyone thought he was winding down, he dropped one last spark into the gasoline. "If she really loved him like y'all say," he murmured, "some of this wouldn't smell how it do." The words were vague. The damage was not. Screens froze. Mouths dropped. People replayed the sentence until it blurred. "She who? Love how? Smell like what?" Tim leaned back and finally looked tired instead of angry. "That's all I'm gonna say," he announced. "Y'all can fight about it without me." Viewers spammed "Don't go," as if their keyboards could hold him still. He cracked a sad smile. "I already said too much," he said, and reached for the phone. The screen went black. And just like that, the explosion everyone felt in their chest scattered across the world, lighting up timelines and tearing open conversations nobody knew how to close. The blackout didn't calm anything. It made it worse. Within seconds of the screen going dark, people thought their phones had crashed, the app had glitched, reality itself had stalled. Then the refreshes started. Again. 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 And when Lil Tim didn't come back, the internet went into a panic that felt less like fandom and more like a citywide alarm. Clips of his final sentences were already everywhere, stitched together by accounts that moved faster than police scanners. 10 seconds of silence became dramatic slow-motion edits. His words looped over stock footage of Chicago streets at night. His face froze into thumbnails with captions screaming secrets that nobody had verified, but everybody believed they somehow already knew. Fan pages turned into war rooms. Group chats turned into strategy meetings. People who hadn't posted in years suddenly became experts, talking like they'd been there the whole time. Somebody dug up old photos. Another person rewrote timelines as if they were police reports. A blogger claimed they'd been warned about this for months. Another swore they'd been sitting on messages from a trusted source who never texted again after dropping a single cryptic sentence. "Tonight changes everything." Screenshots with no names attached were passed around like holy relics. And with every repost, the story got sharper, darker, louder. OTF supporters didn't sit quietly either. They fired back with fury that felt personal. "He's chasing clout," one wrote. "He couldn't shine, so he wants to burn it all." Someone made a video pointing out every inconsistency in Tim's past interviews like they were building a case against him. Others accused him of switching sides, of being mad money didn't move the way it used to. A few said he had always been off. That word showed up everywhere. Off. Unstable. Bitter. Broken. It was easier to dismiss a man than to consider he might be telling an uncomfortable truth. But then something shifted. A woman who had once claimed to be close to the family uploaded a video at 3:14 a.m., eyes puffy, voice shaky. She didn't say much. She didn't say names. But she said enough. "Y'all don't know what goes on behind them images," she whispered. "Some of y'all guessing. Some of y'all close." That single line lit another fire. Viewers dissected her tone like it was evidence. Did she mean she knew? Did she mean she'd seen? Did she mean she was scared? Within hours, her comments were turned off. Within minutes, her DMs were full. And within seconds, everybody assumed something had happened to her for speaking at all. Old interviews were rewound now with hunted eyes. Fans paused frames and circled body language like amateur detectives. "Look at her face here," one post insisted. "Tell me that ain't guilt." Another reply swore it was just grief. A dozen arguments were born out of one screenshot. People sprayed speculation across timelines like gasoline, and the smallest spark turned into a 5-alarm blaze. Somebody even claimed they heard Tim's stream had gotten taken down by pressure. Others argued it was just a glitch, but nobody fully believed that. When you're deep enough in a story, coincidence doesn't exist anymore. Then came the phone call rumor. Allegedly, someone close to OTF reached out to Tim after the stream ended. Allegedly, voices were raised. Allegedly, threats were made. None of it was confirmed. All of it felt real. A faceless account claimed Tim had been advised to leave the city for a few days. Another said security had been doubled around certain homes. Somebody else claimed a private meeting was being set up to clear the air. Fans picked sides the way sports fans pick teams, wearing their opinions like jerseys. And every side was sure they were loyal to something bigger than a man on a screen. The craziest part? Tim stayed silent. No story. No tweet. No nothing. And that silence did what 100 live streams couldn't. It made people fill in the blanks with their own fears. Some said he was hiding. Some said he was being silenced. Some said he was regretting everything. Others insisted he was speaking with a lawyer. Whenever a rumor slowed, another took its place. Viewers refreshed his page like they were waiting for a heart monitor to beep again. When nothing happened, the tension grew teeth. A day later, someone claiming to be a former associate dropped a thread that read like a confession without a name. They talked about control. About circles shrinking. About how grief can turn into something sharp if it's left unattended. They didn't accuse. They didn't deny. They just described a house where nobody felt at home anymore. Within an hour, the thread was gone. Deleted. That single fact made it 10 times more powerful. Screenshots circulated like contraband, each copy shared with a comment that read some version of, "They don't want you to see this." And then something real happened. A minor OTF affiliate went live late at night, cheeks flushed, voice shaking. He laughed at nothing, made jokes that didn't land. Then, just as suddenly, he got serious. "Y'all need to chill," he told thousands watching. "You don't know what you're talking about." His phone vibrated mid-sentence. He glanced down. The laugh disappeared. "I gotta go," he muttered. The live stream ended so fast it looked like the power had been cut. That clip went just as viral as Tim's, not because of words, but because of a look. Fans slowed the footage, zoomed into his eyes, and insisted they saw fear. Others called it acting. But nobody called it normal. Speculation wasn't just at street level now. Industry pages jumped in. Opinion columns read like dramatic monologues. Some writers defended the family with religious fire. Others dragged everything like they had receipts they never actually showed. A famous blogger wrote, "You cannot rewrite grief with rumors." Another replied, "You cannot bury truth with loyalty." Both posts got 1 million views. Both comment sections became digital riot zones. Meanwhile, Tim was nowhere. Then, late one night, a single photo appeared on his story. No caption. Just a dark highway stretching into nowhere under a moon that looked bruised. Some fans called it poetry. Others called it goodbye. "He's running," people said. "No," others argued. He's thinking. Somebody insisted the image matched a road outside the city. Somebody else said it was just a filter. But once people believe a story, they stop checking details. They search for meaning instead. And meaning was everywhere. Behind the scenes, according to whispers, meetings were happening. According to others, lawyers were circling. According to everybody, everything was on fire. A producer who once worked close to the camp tweeted cryptically, "Families break apart quietly, or they explode loud." He deleted it 5 minutes later. Screenshots, of course, survived. They always do. Then Tim finally spoke. Not on video. Not on live. Just one long message, posted at dawn, when the world felt thin and sleep-soft. He didn't apologize. He didn't clarify. He just wrote about pain being misunderstood. About wanting to scream and instead choosing to whisper. About loving someone so much it hurts forever. And that line everyone dissected? He ended his message with it again, almost like a warning, some things smell wrong because they are. Fans stared at their screens like they'd been slapped by a ghost. The message was gone 15 minutes later, but by then it had already done its work. Was he doubling down? Was he retreating? Or was he daring someone else to speak next? OTF accounts moved like they'd been instructed. Some went radio silent. Others went louder than ever, flooding feeds with throwbacks, smiling photos, and quotes about loyalty. It felt like a digital shield. A reminder of the legacy. A dare to anyone trying to rewrite it. Fans who loved Vaughn lit candles on timelines. Fans who doubted everyone lit questions. Nobody lit peace. Someone leaked an audio clip days later. A raspy voice. Unclear origin. Unclear date. Clear emotion. "I can't keep pretending," the voice said. Nothing else. Some swore it was Tim. Others said it wasn't. But the damage didn't care. The clip stacked on top of everything else like kindling. At this point, nobody knew what was true. But everybody felt something was wrong. Neighborhood conversations changed tone. Names stopped being said out loud. The story left phones and entered rooms. People leaned in when they talked, even when the music was loud. Even when nobody official had confirmed anything, something had shifted. The myth had cracked. And once a myth cracks, it never looks the same again. Then a shocking rumor tore through every corner of the internet. Tim had been invited to sit down with someone close to the family. A private conversation. No cameras. No fans. No comments. Just air between two worlds that used to be one. Some said he refused. Some said he accepted and then vanished again. Some insisted something went wrong in that meeting. None of it came from a named source. All of it sounded believable. Schoolyard whispers. Studio gossip. Newsroom energy. That's what the culture felt like now. A waiting room without chairs. And just when it felt like the storm might finally start to burn itself out, a shadow entered the story that nobody was prepared for. An account went live at 2:07 a.m., face hidden, voice filtered. The username didn't matter. The message did. "Everything y'all arguing about," the voice said calmly. "It's smaller than you think, and bigger than you imagine." He claimed there were secrets that had nothing to do with fame and everything to do with family. He claimed people were hurting in ways that never make it to headlines. And then he said something that made the chat freeze cold. "You don't even know what's really being protected." The account vanished seconds later. No explanation. No follow-up. Just a sentence that crawled into people's sleeps and refused to leave. By now, this wasn't just about a live stream. It wasn't even about names anymore. It was about the idea that the story everyone thought they knew might have been edited long before they pressed play. And the scariest part wasn't that somebody might be lying. It was that nobody could agree on who. In every corner of the internet, fans waited for one thing that felt impossible now. The truth. And then word started to spread that someone else was about to speak. Someone nobody expected. When the name finally leaked, it didn't come in a flashy headline. It slid into timelines quietly, the way real danger often does. A single post. No emojis. No exclamation points. Just a name attached to 3 chilling words. She's ready to talk. Nobody knew who she was supposed to be at first. Some assumed it was clickbait. Others thought it was another troll trying to ride the chaos wave. But as the hours passed and that same phrase began popping up from completely different accounts, a pattern started to form. And patterns are what make rumors start to feel real. Fans held their breath. When a video finally appeared, it wasn't dramatic in the way people expected. No background music. No dramatic captions. Just a woman sitting in a dimly lit room with a lamp glowing behind her like a tired moon. Her eyes were swollen, like she hadn't slept. Her voice cracked before she even finished her first sentence. She didn't introduce herself. She didn't explain how she knew anyone. She didn't even look into the camera at first. She just spoke. "This isn't about fame," she whispered. It never was. The chat exploded into prayer hands and broken hearts and fire emojis that felt wrong for a moment like this. She kept going anyway. She said people were tired. She said the city had been holding its breath for years and nobody noticed. She talked about rooms full of silence and rooms full of shouting. She talked about grief becoming heavy and then becoming dangerous. She didn't directly accuse anyone, but she told stories that lined up too perfectly with the ones people had already stitched together in their heads. And when she finally spoke about control, the word hung in the air like smoke. "Everybody thinks power looks like noise," she said. "Sometimes it looked like quiet." That sentence traveled faster than the video itself. A few minutes in, she mentioned the kind of phone calls that don't leave records. The kind of meetings that don't leave calendars. The kind of favors that don't leave fingerprints. Fans leaned so close to their screens, some said they could hear their own blood. This wasn't entertainment anymore. This was heavy. This was intimate. This felt like eavesdropping on something never meant for public ears. And then she said something that shattered the room. "He wasn't just mourning," she whispered. "He was trapped." Nobody knew who he was supposed to be. But nobody questioned it either. Within seconds, blogs grabbed the clip. Commentary channels ripped it apart. Social media split again, harder this time. One side calling her brave. The other calling her fake. But then, just like every other voice in this story, she disappeared too. The account went dark. The video vanished. The comment section locked. And the internet reacted the same way it always does when something disappears. It decided it meant something. Meanwhile, the pressure on Tim reached a boiling point. People spotted him in blurred photos at gas stations. Someone claimed they saw his car outside a courthouse. Another person swore he flew out of state. Nobody knew what was real. But everyone agreed on one thing. He wasn't okay. Then came the voicemail. A 30-second audio clip sent to a gossip page by an anonymous source. You couldn't see anything. You could only hear breathing. And then a voice. Raw. Shaking. "I don't know how much longer I can carry this," it said. "But if anything happens to me, just know I tried to tell it." The clip ended abruptly. Was it Tim? Was it someone else? The internet didn't wait to find out. It decided instantly. That night, #JusticeForTim started trending. And that's when OTF finally responded. Not with a rant. Not with a live stream. Just one statement, clean and cold. They denied everything. Called it lies. Called it disrespectful. Called it painful for the family. Called it internet hysteria. Fans argued over every word like it was written in a secret language. They screenshot it. They highlighted phrases. They asked why it felt so distant. Where was the emotion? Where was the warmth? Where was the humanity? At the same time, another figure stepped forward. Someone nobody expected. A cousin. A former friend. Somebody people recognized but never really paid attention to. They didn't accuse. They didn't deny either. They just said, "Y'all don't know how ugly grief can get." And for the first time since the live stream, both sides paused. Because that sounded honest. Stories started coming out then that didn't fit neatly into teams. Stories about hurt feelings, about missed calls, about promises that never got kept. People started to realize that maybe there wasn't a cartoon villain hiding in the shadows. Maybe this was just broken humans breaking other humans. But broken people don't make clean stories. And the internet loves clean stories. Someone has to be the bad guy. Someone has to be the hero. And nobody wanted to accept that maybe there weren't any. Then, in a move nobody predicted, Tim went live again. No warning. No countdown. Just there. His face looked thinner. His eyes looked darker. But his voice? Calm. Too calm. "I ain't here to fight," he said. "I'm here to be free." Fans begged him not to say anything dangerous. He smiled sadly. "Truth ain't dangerous," he replied. "Pretending is." He didn't expose anybody. He didn't accuse anybody. That's what shocked people the most. Instead, he talked about loving a man who never got to grow old. About seeing photos frozen in time. About waking up every day knowing the story ended too soon. "I didn't say what I said to hurt his mama," he admitted. "I said it because hurt was already here." The chat softened. The fire emojis faded. Then he confessed something nobody expected. "I was wrong about one thing," he whispered. "I thought holding it in was protecting them." He looked straight into the camera. "It was only killing me." Fans cried through their keyboards. But the story wasn't done yet. Because halfway through the stream, something unexpected happened. His phone vibrated. He looked down. And then he froze. The chat exploded, asking what was wrong. He lifted his eyes slowly. "She just texted me," he said quietly. Nobody spoke. Nobody breathed. He didn't read the message out loud. He just swallowed.